All right, welcome back to the Roman Control to Experience radio show. We had to move a little location a little bit, get at least a little quiet, some space. First of all, it's a distinct honor and privilege to interview these two dynamic young women who are leaders, game changers, awesome young ladies that I've been working with for almost 3 years now. It's been a pleasure. They've been part of the greatness. They see my journey, now they are juniors now at LaSalle University. They are exceptional. They are pretty much they're very outspoken. They don't hold nothing back. So I want first of all welcome Nya and Nyasia Griffin. How y'all doing?
Good.
That's good. That's good. How are you? How's your week?
It was good. How was yours?
No, it was good. Just trying to navigate through this summer training and trying to adjust. Going for the first week. This is my kids, working with the kids. So it's been playing for summer. So we're gonna get that to the next week. So we're training next week and preparing for our kids who are we working with this summer. It's been a whirlwind, and then also seeing one of our other mentees graduate high school so high school. So it's a big time right now. A lot going on in the city, things like that. So I wanted to ask you, since today is Juneteenth, can you tell us what does Juneteenth mean to y'all, since y'all so young and you're so active in the community? What does Juneteenth mean to y'all?
I think Juneteenth means to me, it just means like, it's another step in life that we've overcome as, a Black community, as a people. And I feel like, it needs to be talked about. Because a lot of things that happen in the Black community, they kind of get swept under the rug. But I'm glad Juneteenth is a national holiday now. Even though we always recognize it in our community, but it's given, light to everyone else that didn't know about it. So that's what it really means to me. It's just basically almost like a badge of honor, technically, like almost like Martin Luther King, like Juneteenth is held up with the Greeks.
For me, I think Juneteenth will be like, even though we didn't experience it, like still a level of freedom, recognizing our freedom, recognizing that there were some people that didn't even know they were free at a time. And I think it's just like the African American Independence Day, like, that's how I look at it.
Right. Okay. Right. I definitely understand it, because I always understood it, but I didn't know. I kind of saw the community. I know growing up, like it was celebrated in Germantown area, Philadelphia, but now the last 2 years, it's been taking a big higher rate awareness of jump in terms of how we celebrating it and how a lot of our people had embraced it, now to know about what's going on, know about history, but at the same time, we got a lot more work to do in our community to get justice, to get things that we want, so it's not just, a celebration, but in the day, we still got a whole lot of work to do. We still got a lot of work to do in our communities, in our homes, in our cities, to get certain laws passed and certain things passed, so we can feel more welcome and feel more accepted, So I think it's a big step. Maybe it doesn't feel holiday, but now it's time for it's more changing it for the better for our culture.
Right.
So basically, for those who may not know y'all, who is Nya and Nyasia Griffin?
Okay, so I'll go first. My name is Nyasia Griffin. I'm 20 years old. I go to LaSalle. I'm a psychology major, and I'm a mentor from time to time. And I'm just striving for the best, and I'm just focused on education right now. Like I'm just trying to graduate.
All right, so my name is Nya Griffin, and I'm also 20 years old. We're twins. I am a communications major with a minor in social work. My I don't know. I think I just got my hands. I'm trying to dip my hands in a lot right now. With different things that concern the Black community, like our schooling and different things like that. Yeah. So, and of course, I love mentoring because Mr. Howard, he really, when we met at the science college, that's where it really started transforming. That's where my mentorship thing, like I really like stuck my hand with the path to greatness, and it really changed my whole outlook on mentorship, especially now, in the Philadelphia school district, as well as what's going on in terms of gun violence and everything like that. It's just the perfect time for me, being that I'm young and I'm 20 years old. Like if we look at people like John Lewis and them, they were fighting at 20 years old for stuff we have now. And like right. Understanding like John Lewis, Fred Hampton, different things like that just like sparked a light in me, because it's like we look at them and we look at the pictures and we think they were so old, but they were really young, fighting for a cause because they wanted to see freedom and they really wanted to see justice in the land. And I think that sometimes, like in the word, it says, we can't despise, we can't let, people, like we can't let, because we're young, hinder us, right? Just because we're young doesn't mean that we can't speak out, doesn't mean that we can't change the world, doesn't mean that we don't have a voice in this land that we live in. We do. And that's why we're still alive to this day, because we all have a purpose. And once we tap into that purpose, then that's when things will start changing, because people, they look at young people like, oh, you young, you don't really know what you're talking about, you right. haven't lived. But some things that, young people, we do know and have experiences, we can begin to change and change laws, rules, and regulations through all of the knowledge that we know.
Wonderful. That's a well-spoken answer. That's a very well-equipped answer. So I wanted to ask you this question because when I thought originally about to speak to y'all, it was going to be a conversation about our state, our youth. Basically, but where you think where our youth stand and right now with all this going on. So I wanted to ask y'all perspective on what is the state of our youth. I mean, based primarily here in Philadelphia.
Okay, can I answer first?
You can answer first.
So from my perspective, I think our youth is two things. I think number one, they're lost. But then number two, I feel like they're also like confused. I would say lost and confused. Because we have like, I feel like the reason why some of our youth is lost is because they feel like they don't want help from adults. And a lot of them just don't listen. So that's the lost part. Like, and then some of them is confused about like who they are. So they start going down these wrong paths. And that's what has happened with a lot of young men and young boys out here. I'm just seeing a lot of people dying. Like every day, some young person is dying. Like I lost like so many friends 2020 and 2021. They were not like over the age of 25. Like they were young. And I think this was like the worst like of it, like the worst summer, spring, whatever. I think it's just like a slaughter. Like it's slaughter going on. And especially in our city. Mm. And I'm just trying to figure out what the police department is doing. Because I understand you can have cops, you can have this, you can have that. But where is the funding for the youth going? where is the funding going? We have all this funding for the police system. I'm not with the defunding the police system, but where is the money going for the youth? I don't see enough funding for the rec centers. I don't see enough funding for the education system. I don't see programs in the summer. Like my aunt, she used to always talk about how she was like, they had programs back in the day where, you know, you could do lifeguard and all this stuff, or like even like they had block captains. We don't have block captains. Like, I don't know. Not all, like I don't see a lot of block captains. Like, I think the trust has gone into the trust and the love is kind of gone in our communities too. So that can also be another, thing. And I feel like where the state of our youth is at is that we're kind of in a crucial, critical state right now where this is kind of like the turning point. I feel like 2020 is the turning point for the youth. I feel like it's very crucial because we're on the brink of, I feel like we're all on the brink of like unlocking some type of new, like with all the technology and knowledge that we have, it's so detrimental to us at this time. And it's really because like my aunt, she always be saying like the reason why our generation is dying so much. And it's a lot of like, even with the girls, it's a lot of girls, they getting pregnant. It's the guys is dying, but the girls is having all these kids. It's just because there's a loss of the family order. That's what she be saying to me, because she was like, back in the day, you had, even if you didn't have your mom or dad with you, you had your mom and the kids follow what the mom said. Now nobody wants to listen to nobody. Everybody that's 15, 16, 17, 18, they all think they're adults. And that's what's getting us killed, because we so busy thinking we over adults and we're doing. And even though there is some kids that may be emancipated, but they tapping into adult things that they shouldn't be doing. It's so many kids out here. Everybody smoke weed. Everybody do drinking and drugs, and they're young. They say on a driver's test, you shouldn't be in the presence. Okay, you should not even be in the presence of alcohol if you're not 21. But that's the problem. We having a lot of pop-up parties, and we're not saying that we don't attend, right? We're not saying that, but we're saying that these are things that might contribute to the problem, that you in the presence of alcohol. It's all these teens in one party. What you think? They're not going to be drinking, smoking, and then driving, and then people dying, and then people, when they come to parties, they bring in like guns and stuff. So it's a lot that goes on with our youth, and I feel like social media has definitely taken a point with it as well, because like we heard about the 20-year-old that he was outside getting released from the jail and somebody put up on him and they killed him. Why? Because he went on social media and said, I'm free. So now everybody, they knew where he was because he put his location. So social media has also played a part in a lot of people's death, because if they in jail or they showing so much, because even though you are in jail, you can now have a phone and you can call your family and friends and stuff like that. And some people be putting it on social media. Everything is like not hitting no more. So I feel like we're living in a crucial time where it's kind of like do or die. Like the ones that's not dying is the ones that's not, it's not that they're not listening fully, but they still following a certain path. Yeah. But the ones that's dying, they not doing anything. They're not following no type of order. And that's what we've lost. We've lost order, we've lost discipline, and we've lost they don't have to be your parent. We've lost mentors, period. We don't have nobody. These Black men, young boys out here, they don't have male figures. They don't have men or mentors in their life to structure them in the way that they should know. They just lost and forgotten. Not homeless, lost and forgotten, right? Because a lot of people think kids is lost and forgotten gotta be homeless. They don't have to be homeless. They could be living in their house with a mom and or mom or dad, and they're still lost because the parents are stooping down to the child level doing what they want to do, and there's no supervision, and this is stuff that nobody wants to talk about, but because people are not ready for the conversation. That's what it is. Okay, everybody wants to beat around the bush. I'm the right one. Listen, I'm gonna tell the truth because it happens and it continues to happen, and then we continue to slip into these cycles and these generational curses that nobody wants to talk about, and then years go by and people are in pain, they're broken, and they bring it up, and then the family members don't want to hear about it. Yeah. And I'm here to expose some people because honestly, you cannot move forward in your life if you don't talk about it. It's only going to get worse because first of all, you keep brushing something under the rug. That little thing that you brushed under the rug when you was 10 is going to turn into a monster when you hit 50, and you're not going to be able to handle it. And then you're going to be so broken and you don't want nobody to attack. You seeing everything as an attack when people are trying to help you. And that's what I see so much in these Black men, these young boys today. They had a little thing that hurt them when he was a kid. And by the time they turn age 18, 19, 20, they're gone. They're done. They're so gone and they're so broken inside. They don't have nobody to turn to. All they turn to is on the corner selling drugs. How are you 14 and you're selling drugs? It doesn't make no sense. Who's out there? And I really want to say this is my last point. It's too many old heads on the block. If you consider yourself a big homie or an old head, it's a difference. But we're not gonna get into that. You know if you're an old head or a big homie, because a big homie is really gonna tell you what you need to do. An old head, he gonna be trying to, bring his own ways into what he wants you to do and be like, yeah, you could do this. So we need everybody to be on the same page. If you're a big homie or you're an old head for these Black men, don't tell them what you did. Tell them the right thing to do and expose them to what they need, not what you want them to do. Because you're killing all these young boys because they listening to you. They looking up to you, and you was doing the same dumb stuff because your old head didn't tell you what to do right. So now you're making a generational, but it's not generational as far as a bloodline. It's generational towards the people. And that's what's going on. So we're not even just imprisoning ourselves in a building. We're imprisoning ourselves in a community. And it's turned to a cycle where it's younger. The ages that are dying are younger. 11-year-old Harley died this year. Harley died from somebody killing him and shooting him. These 11 years old out at 10 o'clock. And a lot of people be like, 10 o'clock is not late. For an 11-year-old, my child better not be out past 8 o'clock. They need to be in the bed. A lot of parents don't have bedtime no more. What happened to bedtime? I know I might be talking long on this topic, but it needs to be talked about because these are things that go past our eyes and we just go on day by day. And there's a lot of people that's going, say, oh yeah, she's talking right, and they don't change. Because a lot of people will sit there and they will be an applauder and they will clap and they will say, you're talking right, but then they don't go back and change. We need people to change their actions. Actions do speak louder than words because it's in your act that makes the words come true. If you continue to say, oh, we need change, but you're not doing nothing to change, then your words they're meaningless. They're nothing. It's faith without works that's dead, because you can't have faith and believe that something's going to change and don't do the work. This year, I said that I was going to have a certain GPA, and I believed that I had enough faith, but I don't think I had faith, but I don't think I put enough work behind the faith that I had that granted me what I needed to have. And I learned that when I look back on what I did, and I said, maybe if you would have worked hard enough, because you had the faith this year and God granted you he granted you some of what you asked for because you didn't have enough work for it to all come to pass. And the problem is a lot of people, they want things, a lot of these community leaders, the commissioner, she wants stuff to change immediately. You're not putting things in place. King Ada Johnson got on the news yesterday talking about what he's putting in place for gun violence, but we need all hands on deck.
this is not the time for people to say, I'm here and we putting money down, but there's nobody doing the work. It's not enough to have money, right, and nobody's not doing anything. And I think that's why I've joined Mr. Howard in partnership with Path to Greatness, because he does the work behind the scenes. And a lot of people are like, oh, he's still working with kids, and they want to bash and they want to down talk for the people that's talking about how you're big, like you ain't doing nothing. Mr. Howard does a lot that nobody sees, and he doesn't get a lot of the credit, but he works with these kids that are broken. He works with these kids that don't have anything. He goes into the schools that don't nobody want to go into, because he knows how important it is to talk to these kids. And he knows that talking to kids at a young age is going to be a thing that impacts them when they get to high school, that impacts them after high school, because they'll remember him and be like, oh yeah, I remember what he said to me. He believed in me. But we don't have enough people backing people saying they believe in these kids. And that's our problem. But I'm gonna let you ask the next question.
Wow. I hope people are watching that hear what they're saying. These are 20-year-old twins that have a knowledge and wisdom perspective for their years. So I'm gonna backtrack. I'm gonna go back to the last thing you said about the Path to Greatness. Right now, we are, like I said, my job, we are training right now to try to figure out what the schedule looks like for the summer, in terms of what we're working with. So are we working with middle school students, I think, fifth, sixth graders, I think. So I'm trying to have guest speakers come, obviously be virtual because it's school district policy, be virtual. So I'm trying to set some sessions in place where I can have y'all to speak to our kids virtually, because they need to hear from y'all, because you pour a lot of insight to what they feel and what's going on. And a lot of things you said is very true, because our youth are in a state of, some of them are, it's like they have a voice now, and but some of them aren't activism, aren't speaking out what's going on. They got other half who want to do the opposite. So like when they get the drugs and the violence, again, they only doing what they see in the community. So, and I feel like the adults had to step up, the men and the women had to step up and talk to these kids about what should they be not doing and what should we start doing now, because they have everything they need to be successful, everything they need. They need people like me and you, Nyasia, to support them, to encourage them, to push them, to get on another level, because like you said, a lot of youth are dying, you know what I mean? Some of them are dying and living. So we got to get back up to the right side, have these conversations, and speak belief into them, and hear them, you know, like hear what our youth are saying, you know, hear what's going on, how they feel it, what their emotions are, what their mindset is, how to help them get back to the tracks, we direct them to the right path, you know, and just give it to the right path, you know, and I think we are doing that, and I think that this summer is very, very crucial. I know I said last summer was very crucial last year because everything was pretty much virtual last year. So like we can't see them and touch them like, you know, or feel like that, but only speak for like this. But I think this summer is very crucial because a lot of our kids all across the city are be working this summer, be in person. A lot of our youth have not probably been in a school or been outside their home in the past 15 months through the pandemic. It's beyond, besides going to the corner store or shopping and feel like that, that this is the first time I'm gonna be back in a school setting. And I'm determined to make sure that our group has the workshops, had the content for our youth. They can have those conversations, had them be heard, had them do a documentary or have them do a march, something like they're doing what's going on today in Philly, do a march about hearing their voice be heard, talk about injustice, talk about Juneteenth, talk about gun violence in Philadelphia, because I think that's very prevalent right now. Because a lot of our youth, sadly, are dying, and a lot of them don't even live to see 13 or 18, you know, so, and it's very, very important that I'll be on the front line of that. Other people don't be on the front line of that because I'm just can't wait the next week and find out what our schedule's like, so I can put y'all in there. I can find out what days I'm doing workshops because our kids need to see y'all. And plus, once we go back to schools in the fall, September, it's gonna be popping. I'm telling you. I'm like, I already got my schools lined up. I'm telling them, look, we need to be back in these schools, maybe October, September, whatever, because they need someone to talk to them, someone to guide them, to be consistent with them, just to be on it, because we want to help them transition back to some normalcy, and just it may not be what it was 15 months ago, but it'll be a different type of normalcy where it's like you have people in place that will come to get care, that will speak life into you and speak hope into you and be there for you and have those uncomfortable conversations. So when they leave us or they leave our presence, they can take this home and they can start doing the work at home and start inspiring their parents to say, okay, maybe I need to change my way I'm doing things with my child so I can make my child be successful. So like you said, Nya, was very poignant. And it takes like you said, it takes a village. It takes the right people to instill those things in place. And I think y'all too, how I have that for your grandma, your mom, your aunts, that already had it in place. Like you said, a lot of kids are not staying up. I'm saying I'm outside at o'clock. I remember 11 years old when the light came on. You brother was in the house. Mom's gonna find me somewhere and get me. So that light came on, I know I get in the house. Even if it was the summertime, even if it was the winter time, and that light switch that came on, you had to get in the house, or your parents looking for you. So like there was no crunches there. You must be in the house or at least walking towards your house. But like I said, I'm very proud of y'all and what y'all doing. And Nyasia, can you tell us about the book you wrote? I heard it just came out. You wrote a book. So
yeah. So yeah, my book is called Forgotten Petals. It's really about my childhood, to be honest, and just my life story. It just was, I guess it was at first when I was first writing it, at first I thought I was gonna put together like a collection of poems, but then I started to change my mind around like 2020 during COVID. And that's when I really started writing the depth of my book. I would write at night because it was like easier for me to write at night for some reason. But I started like writing poetry. I started writing my poetry for the book first. And me and my friend were on the phone and we were both talking about like what our goals were. And I was like, oh, like I might want to write a book. And she was like, oh my God, da 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 da. And I was like, yeah, like I'm about to write this book. And I just came up with the name. And from there, it just was like, this is going to happen. Like it was going to happen. So I started writing it. I started writing the first chapter after I started writing my poems. And then from there, I just came up with, I was like shifting back and forth from like what chapter names I was going to do, but I knew what I wanted. Like I knew in my mind, I already visioned what the book was going to look like before it even came. So then I put it together and it was a surprise, but she right here, she was like, oh, let me see what you're doing, not Nyasia. So then she saw it and then my aunt saw it. So then it wasn't a surprise anymore. But it's released right now. It's not available online yet for some odd reason. It's taken a while. But if you want to get a book, I have my information on Facebook, but I can send it to you too. So yeah, it's just based on my childhood, some of the things that was happening. It's inspiring to young people. I think it's my story just coming from not having both of my parents and triumphant, like getting over that. Like this book was really overcoming. Like I feel like I wrote this book to overcome what happened to me.
Right.
I feel like that's why I really wrote this.
Wonderful. Like I said, once you find out where the people get the book, you can give us a link. We can promote it, sell it. You know what I mean? Just put it out there because I want our young people to hear from someone like you that maybe going to the same situation right now that you dealt with. So, you know, to have someone that's close to them that been through what they're dealing with, I think that's very paramount, very important. So I think I'm very excited about the book. I'm very excited about you telling the book in a couple of weeks, you know, amongst other authors, you know, because I think that's very powerful that you're a young person that's wrote a book, you know what I mean? Reading because a lot of my kids are writing books now, they're sharing their stories, what they experience, you know. I think that's very important because all of us have a story, always they put it out there. So I'm very proud of you for that. So a couple more questions. Nya, what's going on with you? You got any projects coming up? I know you're doing a lot right now. So Nyasha got a book out right now. So
My newest project, we have to talk, Mr. Howard, because on the flip side, I have this new project that I'm trying to get out. I really am, because I know you mentor, you know, the younger kids, but my goal is to really get into the high schools. So that's why me and you really had to talk more in depth, because I'm trying to see how I can bring all your services and really brand Path to Greatness even bigger, so that I can impact the high schools and maybe even, you know, somebody that might be older than me, you know, branch off and do college. Because, but I feel like my goal right now is high school. I don't know, I'm feeling a pull there, because I feel like it's needed there too. Because a lot of these companies, you know, I'm working right now with the Philly Teen Conference, and I'm helping planning that. So now that was kind of an open door that really unshielded my eyes and said, wow, we need to do high school, because even though it's like from age, I think 8 to 18, I'm 20. So I was like, kids and young adults need this, because I think that a lot of times we cut off the age at 18, but like my aunt, she always said, even after you turn 18, you still need your parents. And I feel like we still need mentors even after the age of 18. And that's why a lot of these kids are still dying, and young adults are still dying, because there are 23-year-olds that are dying, 24, 27, 28, because they don't have mentors still in their life to help support them through that age, right? I know you talk about the alternative things that we can do after high school, but I don't think people talk too much about the alternative lifestyle that it takes for us to have after that. And I know you touch on self-care, and I think that a lot of adults still don't tap into self-care even at 20 years old. They don't tap into their mental health. They don't tap into these different things, and they don't even talk about gun violence. Yes, it's happening in Philly, but who's really discussing it with the youth? It's the adults that are talking about what we need to do, but nobody's talking about how it's impacting the youth. Yet the youth are the ones that are holding the guns against each other. And I think that's the problem. Everybody's kind of missing it, you know? It's kind of like they seeing like all this gun violence, but they missing it because it's the kids that are being impacted, and they're the ones that are going out killing each other. It's adults too, but it's kids turning on each other too, and they're learning these things at 16, 17, and 18, and they're killing each other. And we're not talking about that. Like I see Harvey, he died at 11. What is somebody that might be 10 years old? They might have a gun too, but we wouldn't even know. They might not, they might even know how to use it. Like the guy, somebody that we know, he shot his own twin on accident. It was a very by accident, because they was playing around with guns with their dad, and it just happened. They didn't even know the gun was on or loaded. But it's just the fact that you're playing around with a weapon. That should not be. And I think that that's why, you know, a lot of people are against banning the Second Amendment. But I think that when it comes to livelihood, why do you feel as though that you as a civilian needs to have a gun? Right? I understand a lot of people want to be protected, but there are lives in jeopardy. It's so easy to buy a gun in the United States of America. And if everybody has a gun, who's protecting who?
it doesn't seem like there's a lot of protecting going on. People are killing each other. They're not protecting each other. So therefore, I think the only people that should have it is law enforcement and the FBI and those enforced. But I think that the major thing is, yeah, you really shouldn't have the military guns. And I think that even if you do have a gun, you should have a license. That's where it gets people. They're illegally. That's what it is. It's not really that you shouldn't have a gun, right? I think that if you have a gun, you should have a license to carry. You should, and that's where a lot of people miss it because everybody's focused on people with guns. Most of the people that are carrying the guns don't have the license to carry the gun. And that's really why people are dying. So we have to really crack down on the people that are, right, the gun laws and the people that are actually the gun stores. Like, they should be able to have a license to carry before you even give away a gun to the person. They shouldn't even be allowed to purchase it without a license to carry. And that's the problem.
Right. Yeah, I think going back to your high school thing, we are trying to get back high schools like we were at Martin Luther King, Alney, Chuck Dobbins, you know, so that's a push to get back to high schools and they had those conferences like you said because like that was a very key because I wanna be back at Alney because we used to do this workshop for seniors and I feel like we can do so much more with them because I get them into the right mind of think about what their plan is, but think about talking about self-care and mental health and help them deal with issues while in high school and not wait till adulthood to deal with it. They do it right there, right in their mind, their mindset, and their brains. And I think talk about the guns. I think people should have license to carry, but should have people who are in the right frame of mind to carry the gun because the problem is all these kids and adults are getting these guns, but we don't know who's giving to them, who's selling them, and some of them, like you said, are in the household laying around somewhere. You know what I mean? So we gotta be mindful of where we put our guns and where we do our things and put it in place where our kids cannot reach them. And make sure they reach them. They have a safety on there so it won't go off. But in the day, it's about the mindset that our kids and adults and getting back into the house conversations and part of the kids work on themselves and figure out who they are. And you don't have to do what you had to do what you see what's going on in your home or community or social media. Social media has a big presence of what's going on, our youth and what they see going on, and we gotta change the narrative on that. And I'm all for that. And like I said, we gonna talk about that. You're gonna talk about that, Nya. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna plans. We're gonna go to high school because we need everyone high school to have a voice and have these conversations. Even in person, and even like go to different sessions. And I talked to someone that I spoke at this organization a couple weeks ago, and I told them, look, hey, I want to be an organization there do a session. So hopefully we can get some days. I get you and Nya to come down and talk to the high school students. So I think he will definitely welcome that. So, and plus even in our high school program this year, the summer, we will definitely try to tap with that too because I want people to hear y'all and other people who are doing this and who been where they are. You know what I mean? So help them be aware, help them and do something that they might not hear every single day. So I think that's very, very important. So we about to wrap up, but where people can find you for more information about you and your journey, and also about your book, Nyasia, where people can find you on social media.
Okay, on Facebook, you can find me at Asia Blue without the E, right? And then like Asia, like the continent, ASIA, and then BLU. And then on Instagram, you can find me at babyblue.official. So bby.blu.official. You can find me there on Instagram. Yes, and you can find me on Facebook, Nya Griffin. It's literally my name, NyaGriffin. And you can find me on Instagram at nya.g2456.
All right, wonderful. All right, friends, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to y'all. I love your wisdom, love being outspoken, I love y'all sharing, I love your knowledge you have for so being so young and wise beyond your years. I'm happy to be your mentor. I'm honored to be your mentor. I will continue to be your mentor, support y'all. But I know we got work to do, and the summer's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be good, and for the fall as well as we get back to some normalcy. And I'm ready to bring y'all on board, do this work, help our youth, high school, middle, and elementary, because all of them need it. So like I said, I will talk to y'all soon, and then we're gonna see each other on Instagram, Facebook. But like I said, thank you for your time. Thank you for just your time to share with all of us today. Hopefully we can do just have an in-person youth forum, or just all my UNTs that I know to come talk, get in space, so it's just to have a conversation. You know what I mean? Just talk about what's going on. You know what I mean? Just hear different perspectives. Have the young man that was on my show a couple weeks ago. You know what I mean? He's a senior. You know what I mean? Have Aisha, just graduated high school. You know what I mean? Have another young man that works at Alfred Allen. He has graduated by being a senior. So so having people like that, have a circle, have a forum, so people can see what's going on, the talents and gifts that y'all have, it will be incredible. So again, thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of this day. Be safe. It's doing warm out there. Be mindful. I love y'all, and I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We love you too.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.